Good morning. This is Robert Forsch with the YouTube channel Truth, and I wanted to take you on out. Wanted to show you the sea level liquid mirror. This is the Russell Burgess Coastal Preserve on the coast of South Carolina. The tide is going out now. Low tide's in about 2 hours. Sun should appear in just a few minutes. And the clouds are setting up beautifully. There's my familiar bird down there on that side. I'm going to cruise over on this side and just show you real quick how this looks. With clouds all over the top of us, the diffused lighting is pretty spectacular and clearly highlighting the stationary level Earth that we live on. Of course, some people can't see that. Maybe they will one day. But for right now, I'll capture the content and show that. We'll have a 5-foot high tide later on, which will cover up all of this later on today. Right now I can see the water shooting out of the clams. On the other side there's a much larger bird. I'm going to show you. He'll probably want to fly away. There's a whirlpool I wanted to show you. Now, on the other side, I have the whirlpool spinning both directions right next to each other. I'm zoomed in really tight with the P1000 that's riding on the top of my camera here. Or under, I should say, okay, so I've got an iPhone 10 on top of my P1000. Okay, I can see the whirlpool now spinning the other direction on the other side. I'm going to shoot in on this guy and just show you. I got a little too close for him, but that's okay. Some people say that the toilet water is an indicator of the rotation of the Earth, the way the water spins. Well, okay, so what I want to show you right now is how these whirlpools are spinning in opposite directions right next to one another. Oh wow, look at this little bird. I didn't even see him there. So that'll probably, I don't know if we're going to see a more pronounced rotation, but we can definitely see it spinning in an opposite direction. It has to do with the container. Clearly, visibly is a sea level liquid mirror that this is right now. That little guy doesn't mind me being here. The big one was a little more afraid. Okay, so I'm gonna take us on up. That little one is a little more skittish. So we've got aerodynamics and fluid dynamics. The consistency of all the clouds wouldn't look like that if we were truly spinning, wobbling, and gyrating as we're told. So I also hashtag stationary level Earth because that's what it is. There would be no level anywhere in a world that was moving, spinning, wobbling, and gyrating. So one of the things that I'm doing right now is establishing a view of the elevation as this water rushes out. Everything will look different. All the reflections change. This is a sea level liquid mirror that will have all different reflections as the water is moving up and down, in and out. Ripples, no ripples because of aerodynamics. Some of the people that like my work watch it because they want to know how to capture photography and videography, and there's so much more there. If you want to edit my videos and put them together in a montage where you put music to it, that's fine. I would just appreciate it if you would hashtag my name in it. I'm the #1 hashtag Robert Forsch in the world as far as I know. That's what I was told by Alex from the Dominican Republic, who saw me in his first Flat Earth video ever. He's been questioning his reality for about a year. He had a brilliant question. I told him I was going to mention it in one of my videos. He said, for the moon landing hoax, where did they have all the fuel to get back to the Earth? Think about it. How about that? Hey, good morning. So that's one of the things that I wondered a long time ago when I was a child, building spaceships out of cardboard and aluminum foil, kind of like NASA did, adding curtain rods and all that, duct tape or whatever they used. It was ridiculous when we look at it. But what I had wondered, if we needed a rocket to go up into space, a rocket with boosters and all of that, how in the world do they claim we were able to just come on back down? Well, they lost all the telemetry data. That's suspect. Did they record over it? The story is so absurd. I worked at a boys ranch in Wisconsin called Rawhide Boys Ranch. And there would be guys that would be arguing and lying because they both had contradictory stories. They can't both be true. We see that in the world today. When you've got contradictory stories or explanations, they can't both be true. So that's what I found out, was that, of course, NASA is deceptive. And so they'll show rockets taking off of launch pads, sometimes blowing people up, supposedly. Sometimes maybe they do. For gosh sakes, they sure could. The government is into mind control as well. MK Ultra, it's all declassified. You can look it up. I've got documentaries that cover all this stuff on my channel. So I've been much more busy. I've been busier putting hashtags all over the place of my liked videos. So now I'm going to zoom in on the sun from this vantage point. Job 37 states that the sun is in the midst of the clouds. I've got many occurrences of that appearance. It normally occurs within an hour of after an hour of sunrise and an hour before sunset, based on perspective. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm zoomed in and I'm going to move over. I'll show you. I'll just show you with it zoomed out so you can see what distance we're talking about. That's the pylon I'm going to move over and sit on. And now I want you to observe the difference in perspective, just a couple of feet. Now we can't even see the sun from here. So it's like sighting in a rifle. I'm an excellent marksman. I just like to let my targets live. I used to shoot birds and animals. Now I just, when I do that, I'll use photography. And I can share it with you. So there's a gentle breeze coming out of the northeast at about 3 miles an hour, which is where I'm looking at right now in the middle of the view. When the tide is coming in, I've got two massive whirlpools that you can see. The thumbnail is this view right in the middle there that you're looking at, only there's whirlpools and they're going the water is coming in. So a liquid mirror is kind of like a verbal meme. We're used to thinking of a mirror as something that is breakable. I like to do that with words. Somebody will say the earth is around, like a pancake, like a clock, like a compass, like a plate, like a frisbee. Not like a tennis ball, soccer ball. They're lying about all this. So we've got a tapestry of lighting based on the perspective of the sun in the midst of the clouds, and the sun and the stars and clouds and all that. The moon move above a stationary earth. That's just the reality of it. All the lighting over here is changing because of the sun, of course. Now we've got a little bit better view of the rotation there. If I try walking down that gravel, I'll end up in the water. I have to go over here. But I'll just shoot it from here. Clearly the whirlpools are going in opposite directions right next to one another. Clearly the water is flat and level. How about that? Whether you like it or not. How about that? I get a lot of intellectual people that think they're so friggin' smart. They don't even know how much a gallon of water weighs. How much does a gallon of water weigh? Well, it depends on the temperature because that drives the whole hydrologic cycle. That variant changes volume and density of a given amount of water. I use a gallon because, well, it's easy to work with. And I'll zoom in and out, not because I can't figure out what to do. I just want to show you the variant that happens, a little change in the cloud cover. So if you like what you're looking at on the live broadcast and you want to see more detail, well, you'll get a whole lot more detail with the P1000 recording. Now I'm back where I started on that middle pylon. Now, right up in the middle of the view, that will show up, that a pontoon or the kayak transporter. There we go. All the trajectory of the reflections indicate flat and level. Now, this water where the current is, well, that's not exactly completely flat or level, but it's close. There's clearly a water flow that can be noticed because of the shape of this area that the water is flowing into. Fluid dynamics, hydrodynamics. A gallon of water weighs between 7 and 8 pounds depending on temperature. When it gets cold enough, it'll freeze, float on water, and you can drive semis on it. Clearly, the sun is there are clouds behind the sun, clearly. I'm the guy that captured it. As far as I know, I had the video that got more views of anybody on that occurrence early on in the flat earth discussion. It's because I'm all in on this. I see that it matters. People are basing their eternal perspective on a godless cosmic Big Bang that NASA is shoving down the throats of humanity. Now, here's the great news. All of God's children will absolutely be born again. That's for sure, and that's forever. I'm going to move over about 5 feet, and I want to show you the difference in the reflection. Lining it up in the water there. So it's a light in the sky. Joshua 10, God stopped the sun from moving. It isn't that a bunch of sheep herders and fishermen didn't know we lived on a spinning ball hurling through space. We don't. That's a satanic deception. Now, God's word says to everybody forever, they refuse to love the truth and so be saved. For this reason, God sends them a powerful delusion. Who's the deceiver? Well, Satan's the deceiver. God will use everybody and everything. Satan has limited access. So I get people that call me and say, wow, your numbers, you put your number and your name right there and your address. Yeah, I'm not afraid to live, die, or tell the truth. My little buddy came back. I've seen him for years. A lot of these birds have seen me. I mean, I just keep coming back and do this. I don't know that there's one white bird that keeps trading places with another white bird to trick me, but this one's been coming here for years, or one like it. He's not a vegan, obviously. So in the truth movement, there are some that are trying to hold to all the dietary laws of the Old Testament. I would say, well, you might want to look at the New Testament and see that that's not really a requirement, especially for salvation. So if you've got concerns with me on my cosmology, sociology, theology, go ahead and call me. I typically don't debate on my posts. You can copy and paste a link. I'll see it. It probably will get held in the in a folder for a delay for me to review it. I might not even disagree with your information. I just it's automatically going to be withheld for temporary, and if I choose to let it go back up there, that's cool. It doesn't mean I'm mad at you for putting it there. If you're a concave earther and you're calling me a shill and a troll for flat earth or for Satan, I'm going to have to mute you because you'd be too much work. However, my number is 1-843-504-1776. And if you want YouTube Truth Robert Forsch stickers, you can send me a self-addressed stamped envelope if you want. My address is 169 Cloverleaf Drive, Long, South Carolina 29568. That's the spelling of my name. You can go ahead and hashtag that if you want. So one of the reasons why I put my name up there and I want people to hashtag it is it connects a lot of this stuff. The internet and the cloud and artificial intelligence is a system that I'm utilizing to the fullest extent that I can. Now the whirlpool on the other side is picking up based on the height, the elevation of the water next to it. So if toilet water and fake modified pictures from supposed space travel would be your evidence for a spinning, wobbling, gyrating oblate spheroid, you're not changing my mind. There's too much flat water, too many sea level liquid mirrors all over the face of the stationary level Earth. So I'm not going to be pushed around or intimidated by anybody or any intelligence organization. Like I told one of the callers that called me, he said, "Aren't you afraid somebody could just come over to your house?" I said, they've got to have, they've got to have God's permission to do anything to me. It might get pretty interesting for them. So God is sovereign, meaning He's in charge of everything. So nothing's going to happen to me that, or you or anybody that God doesn't cause or allow. The thing that I had to ask myself, if I was truly born again, why was I still a drug addict and alcoholic? The answer I got was disturbing. I repented, cried, did all the right stuff as far as I knew 30-some years ago, and I wasn't born again yet. And then, about 4.5 years ago, we're coming up on 5 years, on Reformation Day, also celebrated as Halloween by the blood-drinking, human-sacrificing Satanists. I'm outing them. I was born again then and given a love for the truth regardless of what the consequences of sharing that might be. So, I'm unapologetically biblical in all of this. So what will it profit a man if he gain the whole world and lose his soul? Or what can a man give in exchange for his soul? Priceless. Actually, Jesus paid a price I couldn't pay. You may know him as Yeshua, Yahweh. He's the Word incarnate, the Spirit of God that took up flesh, dwelt among us, paid a price on the cross, gave us what he requires. My righteousness surpasses that of the scribes and Pharisees because it's his. It's not mine. He gave it to me. Salvation is a gift from God. Keep that in mind. Feel free to reach out anytime. You can call me anytime, day or night. What time is it? Well, 3 people per second no longer have their human experience. We're all eternal beings having a temporary human experience. There's a veritable kaleidoscope of conspiracies that are a reflection of distortion. Look through a kaleidoscope. Imagine that 2 children stealing a bicycle is a conspiracy. What is it when artificial intelligence hijacks the cybernetic collective consciousness of humanity? Cybernetic meaning all the digital distraction and deception that we rely on. How about that? Reach out and call me anytime you like. Thank you so much.